Mental Health Awareness Month takes place every May and is the longest running awareness campaign dedicated to mental health in the United States. This was founded by Mental Health America, MHA, in 1949. And the month long observance encourages open conversations about mental illness, promotes access to treatment and support services, and works to dismantle the stigma that still prevents millions of people from seeking help. The 2026 theme is More Good Days Together, and this information was brought to you by awarenessdays.com. Now let's get to it. Drake versus Kendrick Energy, Cardi B, and RHOA. Chris Brown album reactions, and so much more, guys, all on Another Mother, episode 69 in the building. Okay, that's it. Get your coffee, get your tea, and get your life. Because Another Mother episode 69 is about to drop. But before that, what's today, Aunt Wow?
Today is
Friday.
Friday. Boom, count, boom, 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 count,
Hey,
boom, boom,
do the Friday
boom,
dance.
count,
Ho!
boom, 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 count, boom, boom,
Do the
boom,
Friday dance.
boom, count,
Hey!
boom, boom,
Come
count,
on, y'all. Do the Friday dance. Ho! A little robot.
boom, 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 boom.
Get your get your coffee, get your tea, and get your life. Cause Another Mother episode 69 just dropped. I'm your host, Lisa Renee, and this is
The big black man at Wild. What up?
and he's from the 916
916
Sack
Sack
Town.
Town.
And we Another Mother Patio.
Hey!
And wow, what's the highlights going on in sports?
Okay, so now it's gotten real, y'all. NBA, it's getting real. It's getting real in the battlefield. We now have the Final Four. We have the Eastern Conference the Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals. We got treated to a dandy in Game 1 of the
What's the
Western
name?
Conference Finals between
For
the
all the girls
San
like me.
Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. You talk about a heavyweight match, a heavyweight boxing match. There was no filler outs. A lot of times in highly anticipated 7-game series, especially with teams that are this good and evenly matched the way these two titans are matched up, usually in the first game for some period of time, just like a great fight, there's a filling out process, right? First couple rounds is a filling out process, so forth and so on. There wasn't no filling out process. They was trying to get to the business off the rip. Like immediately, San Antonio came out, punched them in the mouth, immediately went up 11-3. Then Oklahoma City starts charging. They start charging. They end up, they're tied after the first quarter. San Antonio's up 7 after the second quarter, up 7 again after the third quarter, and in the fourth quarter, the Titans come rolling. And I mean, it's heavyweight punch after heavyweight punch. Shea didn't have a good game, but he started coming alive a little bit in the fourth. Victor Wembanyama ended up with like 41 and 23, 41 points, 23 boards, 3 blocks, revolutionizing the game as we speak. Actually, for the sake of the series, because I want to see this series go 6-7. I actually predicted San Antonio in 7. But because I want to see it go 6 or 7 games, I actually think more often times than not, convincing wisdom will tell you, okay, well, the road team needs to steal a game. Oklahoma City's the champions. They're the defending champs. They have experience on their side and all these kinds of things. But Victor Wembanyama is the definition of literally changing the game right before our eyes. He is 22 years old. The league is in trouble. they're in trouble. He's 22 years old. He's 7'4". He got some dog in him. Kristaps Porzingis was kind of supposed to step in and take this role. 7'3", can hit it from the outside, block shots, rebound, but injuries plagued his career. And I think Victor kind of maybe saw that, has done a masterful job of making sure he takes care of his body, make sure he's got the purple bulk on. He can hit the threes. He can step out. There's really no defense. He changes every single shot. Even when you come into the paint, he changes the shot. He makes you rush the shot. And that's kind of what I was saying. I was saying that even against the Minnesota in the last series, I felt like they kind of abandoned the paint a little bit. And I feel like Oklahoma City, you can't do that. Now, and as the game started to come on, they started to go towards the paint in the fourth quarter, which is why they actually went up. Then San Antonio hit a big shot. Then they were able to tie it. Shea Gildress, great call up by Mark Dagnall, the coach for OKC, had Victor spread out. He couldn't leave his man, which is Chet, because otherwise that Shea would have kicked it out for Chet Holmgren to possibly hit a game-winning three-pointer. So instead, they settle for the tie. We go in the first overtime. In the first overtime, Shea kind of comes through again. He gets them up. They're up 3, but I felt like there was a two possessions that cost the Thunder the game, in the sense of when they went up 1, they got a steal, and then I know he's been balling, but Mitchell comes and hit the very, very quick 3. Ah, they get the ball back. You're able to get another shot. You get a basket, but then Jalen Williams comes and shoots a quick floater, and then Victor comes down and shoots a 30-footer to tie the game, which sends it to double overtime, and then San Antonio was able to clinch it in double overtime. So we have a heavyweight match in there, and Cleveland Detroit is going to be a heavyweight matchup as well. I'm waiting to see how they match up, how that series progresses. We have some Titans, and the NBA is going down. Phenomenal first game, heavyweight slugfest. Looking forward to seeing more.
Absolutely, Anthony, you said dandy. For all the women, we're like, well, not all women, because some women are true athletes and ballers. But for me, who likes sports, what is dandy?
Dandy, did I say dandy?
Yes, and I said, "What is dandy?" I raised my
Did I
hand. You're
say dandy or Wimby?
maybe it was a
I
Wimby?
think I might have said Wimby because I don't
Oh,
remember saying
I
dandy.
was
I could
like
have said dandy, but I don't remember it. I might have said Wimby because that's short for Wembenyama. That's his nickname, Wimby.
oh,
So
okay,
I might have
okay.
said Wimby. I don't know if I said dandy. I could have, but I don't remember it. So I can't
It's
reference
cool.
it to you because I don't remember
Well,
saying
at
it.
least we both know dandy wasn't a word. That's why I was like, "What is y'all this freaking bug right here?" I was like, "What is" I can't stand bugs. I'm like, "What is dandy?" And while I wanted to bring a topic up on your sports, if it's okay. So, Stephon Diggs and Cardi B, there is video footage. They were having an argument. Now, I know you rocking your Sacramento shirts, but they were having an argument at a coffee shop in my hometown, Maryland area. However, y'all don't throw tomatoes at me right now. I don't really know if it was an argument between them and that. Check this for a minute. Sometimes you can be mad at something and you're just going off. Because if you notice in the video, you guys go watch the video. Stefan is very, very calm, very nonchalant about this. And I know sometimes Aunt Wow and I have these moments where we're fussing. You can see us together and you might think we're fussing with each other, but we're not. We're fussing about something. Maybe it's like a family, or something that happened at work. So that's what I got from it. I know people were saying they were in an argument and, Stefan was kind of making her look really bad because he was acting like he ain't even bothered with it. But if you notice, guys, not long after that, they were sitting and everything seemed to be fine. You did see her bodyguard kind of pull her back. So really, we don't know. But what I do know, like a week later, she posted up like how many, I don't know how you would say the receiving yards of several football players, Aunt Wow. You would know better doing sports. And I believe Stefan might have been number 5th on the list, number 4 and number 5 on the list, but it was like the top 10. And she put no confusion, really to just give them a shout out. And I think for me, whether they were having an argument or not having an argument, Stefan Diggs, Anthony, and really a lot of sports enthusiasts out there, we saw this young man make it all the way to Super Bowl, but obviously he didn't win at Super Bowl. but I still champion. He obviously had a skill set to help take that team to Super Bowl, and I would really hope for Stephon right now, buckle down, be a great, father to your children like we see you, in the cameras, and I know people kinda clown you. It was your daughter's birthday. I thought it was beautiful that you was there. Who cares about all the noise that everybody's saying? But really, Stephon, we wanna see you buckle down, keep training, like posting the training videos, doing your thing. We wanna see another team pick this young man up. A, he has to take care of his children. B, he obviously has talent and a skill set. And three, I want to see him win. I really do. I want to see him win.
Yeah, I like Stephon Diggs. I didn't see the footage,
Hmm.
but per us talking about it and just even kind of little blurbs that I've read, I absolutely can see how that's the case. There's a lot of times people I was in a restaurant, me and Tanette, shout out to Tanette. We were in a restaurant one time. We were in Fridays and we were having a passionate uh talk about sports in the NBA. It was during the NBA lockout season, and we were talking about, the significance of it. We were just going back and forth, and we were, we get everybody who knows us, we get into it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And we were just talking about certain situations and whatnot to the point where security came and had to make sure we were cool. And we're like, oh no, we're totally fine. We're just talking about a situation.
Case in
And
point.
like literally he was like, oh, like, because he was kind of confused at first because we turned and we were looking at him like, what's the problem? And he was like, oh, just want to make sure everything was good. We're like, oh no, man, we good. And once we filled him in, he was like, oh yeah. And then he even had a couple things to say before he went off. So I can totally see where it was like she could have been talking about somebody else. There's a lot of times, heck, me and Neith will be somewhere, just in telling a story or talking about a certain
And getting
situation. We were
animated and
yeah, you get animated. We were at the beach and somebody had to jump in and said something like, I mean, he was trying to be nice, but he was just being getting on our nerves. But I was just talking about a situation and being very passionate about it. And, outside looking in, especially you'd see these two black folks and but then even after he listened, he was like, oh man, you're very interested. You're very passionate. And I'm like, oh yeah, we kind of left it cool, but that's another example where it was like, oh, if you're just kind of looking and don't really know the context of what's going on, you can think that I'm over here fussing at her. But
Mhm.
if you really look at both sides or the whole situation in itself, like you say, Stefan was being very calm. Cardi B, we know how she is. She's got a fuse, and she might have been going off on somebody, or and that could have been why he's calm, or he could just be calm in argument. That could just be his disposition. That's
Very
absolutely
definitely true.
possible as well.
Yeah.
But like even in this case of us being at the beach, like Neva's just head nodding, and she's kind of smiling and all this kind of stuff. Like if you really just kind of take a look, you're like, oh, they're just having a passionate conversation. These are just animated people. So I
Animated.
agree with that. That could absolutely be the case.
Yeah,
And Stefan, I'm sorry, go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was gonna say too, because around that time when the clip went, because it's been about, I want to see it. I could probably put it up. It's been a few days since it happened, but around that time was the time that the and sorry to cut you off too, and wow, it was around the time that the girl that was on court, like had a court case with Stefan, but she lost. It was around the time where she actually went live and started to share stuff about Cardi, really allegations about maybe him putting his hands on her and that, she knows what's going on. And, so I don't know if, Cardi could be very upset about that because maybe private details are being shared about them or really know what was going on. But I'm going to see if I can find a clip while you give your last little point. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no. So I mean, again, there you go. Perfect example. She could have been talking about that. This crazy. I can't believe she don't know who she could have been doing all that kind of stuff. And Stefan Diggs not being on the team yet, that's going to end. But to kind of drive that point home, to really emphasize the sports part of this, since he's been drafted, he is the fourth in the league since being drafted in receiving yards.
That's what she posted. So he's
Yeah,
full.
he already
Okay.
has 11,504 yards, and if I'm not mistaken, Michael Irving, who is a Hall of Famer, his yardage is similar to that total for his career. Now it's a little different era. He played on the Cowboys, in the Cowboys glory days where they had, the monsters up front and Emmett Smith back there, and
Mhm.
Daryl the Moose Johnson as the
Mhm.
fullback. So you know it's not as pass heavy maybe as the league is today overall. But to give some context, Michael Irving, who everybody recognizes is one of them guys, he's one of them dogs. His total yards in his career, I want to look this up to give perspective to the work that Stephon Diggs has done. His total yards in his career are 11,904. So he's 400 yards ahead of Stephon Diggs, who still has a couple good years left. And if I'm not mistaken, Stephon Diggs was a 1,000-yard receiver last year.
Mm.
So, you know, there it is. So the point is, and we talked about this before coming on, Stephon, keep on your thing. Focus on
Absolutely.
football, because I can't help but to think now Seattle's defense is great. Both defenses were great. It was a great, great defensive matchup, which is why people like you, who's a casual fan, kind of snooze because they were like, it wasn't really a lot of excitement because the defenses. So the Seattle's defense is great, but it is also very likely that everything that was going on with you at that time between Cardi, between this case and all that kind of stuff, we're human at the end of the day. That could have had
Yeah.
an effect on you. So this is even more of a reminder. Stay on it. That was actually a very supportive post by Cardi B reminding you, hey, listen, Devontae Adams, who's going to be a Hall of Famer, Travis Kelsey, who people regard as the greatest tight end ever, and Mike Evans, who is the only person to start his 11 years straight and have 1,000 yards in each receiving year, are the only people ahead of you since you've been drafted. So
There you go. So I'm
stay
gonna show.
stay on course.
Absolutely. I'll show you guys. You can tell us. We've already given our commentary, but for those who do want to show you the video, to see the video, I will go ahead and share that video. And if you guys have anything to say after watching it, if you think it was between them or you think it might have been something else, just let us know. All right, guys. So here we go. So this is from Pink Book Lessons. So we want to definitely give shout out when we're using that footage. Here you go. But I think the original footage is from TMZ. They're dealing.
Is that Stephon right
Uh,
there?
yeah, that was Stefan right there on the car. Yeah.
It just
So
seemed like she was talking to him.
right. So
Doesn't negate that whole soliloquy I just gave, because everything
like
about
yeah,
that soliloquy is still very, very true. Does not mean she just could have been talking like, look at this crazy breezy, da, 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 whatever.
right.
But it
Absolutely.
did seem like she was talking to him.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. So let's move on. So you guys know we talk about all about our health. So today we're actually going to do a demonstration. Get my little props, Aunt Wheezy, because I can't just talk about this without really showing this. I'm gonna move my mic. Wow, are you guys still picking me up with me moving my mic?
Yep.
All right, perfect, guys. So we are going to discuss Velomix blender. This is something that I use when I travel. Now, I normally do 8 ounces. You can put 8 to 12 ounces in. I put the Vega powder that I shared with you guys before. So when I travel, listen, you guys, the powder's in there, the water's in there. You can put milk in there, whatever you choose. But watch this. You press this button right here, Aunt Wow, and I'm gonna lift this up so you can see. You press this button, so I want to keep it flat. It's going to go for like 30 seconds. Listen how quiet that is, guys. As you can see, the green light is indicating that it's working. All you do is press it. The button is very, very soft. I use this on the planes. Nobody hears it. That's it, Aunt Wow. It is that amazing? This
That's
is
amazing.
quieter, guys, than the regular blenders out there. If you look close, you don't see anything. Nothing
Hmm.
clumped. No clumps, guys, at all. Everything is blended very well. I put peanut butter in it. I don't do anything more than that. I put ice, but I don't try to go too heavy. I've done a banana because it is a plastic little piece with the Velo mix. I will tag this if you guys want to get it. But again, you press it one time, 30 seconds. You guys saw it live. You don't need to shake. You don't need to do anything else. It's morning protein shake. Delish, guys. When I say this is the best for you guys, and wow, you're always working out. You can take this with you to the gym. You know, after working out, you guys, you have got to replenish your muscles. You don't want to lose muscle. A lot of people that are on the GLP-1s right now, you can see their faces sunken in that they're talking about them losing muscle. Even if you're not on a GLP, you have got to get your protein in after you have done an exhaustive strength training, even cardio workout. And this is something you can take with you, do it, screw it off, and then go ahead and drink it on your way home. This is probably one of the best investments that I have gotten. And this is the Velo Mix Blender. That is for sure a win-win. You saw it. We gave you a live. Ain't no more that's the best demonstration we can give you is live, guys. And we know that people are still and we don't want to go into too much because Aunt Wow, we're not about kicking people when they're down, but we do know people are still talking about Cheyenne Bryant. And I will say doctor only because I believe she trademarked the doctor on there. But I do want to say during mental health awareness month, everyone, get the help that you need that you need for yourself. Cheyenne Bryant, right now, her book, last time I saw it, it was at a 1.5. And this is just the story that just continues, Aunt Wow, to really keep going. And I would say, only thing that I want to say, and this is separate from Cheyenne, because again, she's already, I know people are saying she's acting narcissistic, like it's not bothering her, but she's human at the end of the day. What I would just say from all of us, let's take this situation as a learning. Like, be as honest as you possibly can be, especially for my creators and influencers out here. And I think if you find that you misspoke something, it would be better to say, you know what? And wow, we probably recorded that show a year ago. I don't remember. If I said it, y'all, I'm sorry. I apologize. It would probably be better to do that than to continue to go on because this month is it's a very shaky month for people with it being mental health. And I think that's why it's the story that keeps going because a lot of people are feeling like they've really been played by it. So I would just say, let us all let this just be a learning lesson. If it's not even a learning lesson for her, let it be a learning lesson for you. I am a life coach. I showed it on my shorts, my credentials, and I'm proud to be just that. I don't need to add anything extra to it. Being a life coach, getting my hours and going through the training, that is enough. And I can stand on that and be okay with that. And while anything before we can transition, as this is mental health month.
Yeah, I would echo those sentiments. When I saw another little blurb about her story earlier today, and you know, she's a big girl. She'll be okay. Felt a little bad for her, only mainly from the standpoint of if she has advisors or if they
Mm,
are yesing her to death, I felt bad for her that that wasn't the advice that she received before rebutting the statements that everybody started saying to her.
yeah,
Everything that you just said. Like, listen, I went through school, I did this, I got the doctor on my name. Now listen, it may not be, you can, just keep it real. You know what I mean? Like
trademark.
you over here, I trademarked it, this is the capacity I have been acting in. Even if the story thing, with the school was true, the way in which you handled it has been so defensive that it's only prompted people to look into it more. And so now when people look into it more, it turns out the whole situation that you laid out is not the situation that everybody else is describing. People that have gone to Argosy and done these things and have been in similar situations and or your path, the fact that you're talking about the 2 years, they only hold it and then it's gone and all these kinds of things, nobody else is corroborating that. Everybody's talking about like how it's on file for all this time and how they can go get their stuff and how they're not closed down. And, it only prompts people to investigate further. So to
Yeah,
your point, it would be just great for you to say, I wish for her that that's the advice that she got, everything that you just said, right? Like,
yeah,
listen, I'm a doctor. I trademarked the name. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm in the process of it. I thought I was on a road to do so, but it turns out it wasn't.
yeah,
But because I was already on the road and I trademarked it in manifestation of what's happening. That's the deal right now. So it's doctor, however you want to spin that. But that's a very real, people are still going to be, people
We
are
get
always going to be jerks, right?
right.
So people are always, even in that explanation, they're always going to say, oh, well, look, she ain't even no doctor, right? So you're always going to have the haters. But it prompts, you don't ever want to give the haters anything credible, right?
Yeah.
If you own that, then they don't have anything credible. Now they're just hating. So now they're exposed as opposed to the perspective looking like you're exposed. And that's
Mhm.
the advice I wish she would have received before she started to rebuke all the stories. When she was on the Breakfast Club, she sounded very defensive. It sounded, it didn't sound entirely smooth. And I'm not here to dispute whether she was telling the truth or not. But
Mhm.
history tells us if you talk to somebody, I was involved in an accident. Perfect example. It
Mhm.
was not my fault.
Yeah.
Although the optics can make it seem like it's your fault, because anytime you hit somebody from the back, it appears that it's your fault. What happened is she wasn't looking. She just backed up and then hit. We exchanged information, everything. Well, when she went, she tried to get all these damages. She tried to make them. We were going 7 miles per hour at the most. I was just leaving my alley. She was backing up. It was literally a fender bender. Nobody really got, my car was more damaged than hers. And my car, it's
Yeah.
still, it's everything is totally fine. But what happened is when she started telling her story and trying to get all these claims and all this stuff, she started putting a bunch of extra stuff in there. And her stories weren't consistent. We had to tell it to like 3 or 4 different people because it's it's her insurance company, it's my insurance company, because she was trying to take it to court and all these things. And the court moderator calls. My story was literally the same exact story every single time because I was telling the truth.
Right.
The
Absolutely.
moderator, who's an independent party, and my attorney, even her attorney, wanted to kind of say that, but he couldn't because he was her attorney. But my attorney and the court moderator both said the same exact thing. Well, her story is not adding up. I'm looking at your story. They're looking at the alleyway. They're looking at, they can look at these things and they're seeing exactly what I'm talking about. My story was the same. That's exactly what they said. Well, I have to side with you because your story is the same. I'm not stuttering. I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah.
The way in which she was telling her story not only seemed offensive, but there wasn't a lot of smoothness in it. And I just wish, long soliloquy short, back to my original point, I use that as an example to state, I wish she would have gotten that advice that you just stated because I just think it would have worked out better for her.
And that tells you about having a really strong team. Be mindful who you surround yourself with because I didn't think about that point. You're absolutely right. Her team should have just said because here now everyone's pockets are being hurt. Look at
Right.
this review. It's a 1.6. It's a 1.6. 60 only 60 comments at this point, right? This girl has been on every major network TV show to have a 1.6. Think about the artwork, the time that had to go into putting this together. I'm sharing this with you guys so that you can understand. Sorry, guys, this thing is coming up. I want you to understand that it can hit your bottom line if you're not honest. If you're not honest, it can hit your bottom line. And so you just have to be very careful. I also heard that the publishers are starting to give people, I think it's Hayes House or something like that, they are starting to give people give them refunds. But what I will talk about, Aunt Wow, when we talk about kicking people, so if you don't like the book, we get it, right? We get it. If you actually read her book and don't like her book, I get it. So this person said, I have the opportunity to see the author on a YouTube podcast, and I decided to pre-order this book and I received it yesterday. From my point of view, it wasn't spiritually led and written for me. That is a honest critique, right?
That's an honest one.
That's a honest feedback. Then
That's an honest one.
someone else says Cheyenne Bryant may have much life experience that she can pay forward to provide guidance and insight in her book. But what she doesn't have are the exact credentials that she claims she has. So you can see now this thing is starting to impact her work. You have another person, false claims about credentials are dangerous, serious concerns about credibility, right? We're talking about um, mental health right now. But someone here says inspiring and motivating. After reading the first three chapters and listening to the audiobook, I understand this book to be motivational and inspiring. I enjoy the book. Happy to have it in my collection. Another person, dangerous, misleading, and illegal. To the point that I'm hearing that there are some legal things going on now. I don't know the preface of what those legal things are, but I'm sharing this not so much to put Cheyenne down. That is not my intent. My intent is that let's learn from this because we need money to survive, to eat, to pay our rent, to pay our bills. But if you are any type of content creator, and something comes up to bite you, when I'm telling you, try your best to be honest, because as you can see, misrepresentation. Take this book off of Amazon. Publisher is complicit. This thing is bigger than I think any of us even expected it to be. It's really huge. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
and I'll just wrap it up with that, kind of tying it back to that. Because then now look at everything that's impacted now. Look at all the hard work she's done.
yeah,
I like Cheyenne. I mean, it's hard not to like her when you like looking at her. I'm a person who likes looking at beautiful women, so I'm just going to be
yeah,
real on that. But I like Cheyenne, and I think there is here's the thing. There's a total great lane for somebody with your exact credentials, right? Because we know how the world works. We know
mhm,
how the world works. A lot of these bad reviews are based on the fact that her credentials don't match up to what was presented to them. If she was just presented as a life coach, again, that's how I was introduced to her. When I saw her, when I was coerced to watching one of them shows, and she was one of the life coaches on there. I don't remember it being Dr. Bryant, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I remember it being Cheyenne Bryant, life coach, like I discussed last week, but I can't say for sure. But my point to that is you are very qualified to have just be somebody who is motivating and has game. You did
yeah,
a lot of work. There was a lot of stuff that you did, your agent did, your PR team did, the publishers now. There's a lot of investment. There's people livelihoods that are on the line based on this. So now if they didn't know, now look at the line you've put them in. You know what I'm saying? And so
yeah.
it's from a bottom line standpoint for everybody. Because again, I hope she does. I don't gain anything for Dr. Cheyenne. I'll call her that if she wants to be called that. I don't care. I don't gain anything for her failing. So that's not the point, to emphasize what Lisa said. It's just that especially in this day and age of social media and marketing and influencing, you are a beautiful woman. You have a good head on your shoulders. You have a good business sense, and you can influence and motivate people. That's enough to be exactly what you are now. That's enough.
That's enough. And
It's
be
it's
okay with
it's
that.
the extra stuff on there that wasn't needed in this day and age, where for somebody who looks like you and all these kinds of things, that's enough. It's just
Yeah,
enough.
it is. And I know Tasha K talked about that she feels it was pretty privilege. She feels that she blew up because of pretty privilege. And she said a lot of light skinned girls in her comments was coming at her. And Tasha K said, I'm very upset about that. She said, because y'all have seen me talk about Lizzo, you've seen me talk about Tiffany Haddish. I'm calling it. If you guys want to ignore that pretty privilege doesn't exist, you're lying. And Imma be honest with you, she's right.
She's absolutely right.
Right. She's
She's
right.
right. And for
Mhm.
us to act like it's not right is it's I don't want to use the word ignorant because then it sounds like I'm shaming people. It's definitely very naive. Like to
Mhm.
act like it doesn't matter is very naive. To act like the privilege doesn't matter is very naive. Papered up or not, somebody who's attractive is just going to get marketed differently than somebody who's not. It doesn't mean that that person is not attractive, isn't going to be into the dollars or anything like that. It doesn't. It just means the marketing strategy is different. The marketing strategy around Cheyenne is going to play off the fact that she's attractive, which is
Yep.
why she wears the clothes that she wears. She's dolled up the way that she is. That is the game. Cheryl Underwood, who I think is attractive, right? Women are beautiful, but she's just
Absolutely.
not going to get marketed in the same way, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to get marketed in that I am gorgeous. You know what I'm trying to say? You know
Right.
what I mean? I am attractive. But I'm not going to get marketed in the same way that Drake's going to get marketed from an aesthetic standpoint. It's just different. I
Yeah.
have that in the song. I've said that in the song. Being a pretty is the opposite of ugly. That's okay. Being pretty ain't my style. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I
Right.
always tell her, I ain't
We
pretty. I'm
play on
handsome.
it.
Like that's I say that in a song. That Lisa Renee is on. You know
We
what I'm
play on
saying?
it. We play on
Talking
it.
about that this very same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean there's not a lane for you. It just means that's the reality. So I absolutely I'll give some coercion. You know, I'll give a little homage of support for Tasha K on that because it'd be different if she was everybody she was talking about was Mariah Carey or Zoe Saldana, now
Right.
Dr. Cheyenne Bryant and Alicia Keys. And if everybody was light skinned that she's talking about, you got something. But if she's coming at
Tasha
everybody or
always
if she
talks
has an
about
opinion
everybody.
on certain things
Yeah.
about everybody, come on, we can't ignore what it is.
Yeah.
It's just part of the game. And that's that.
It really is a part of the game. I think the one thing with Aunt Wow, I would say if you ever want to know anything about us, we put it in our music. If you really call us on something, we'll probably be like, we kind of already talked about that. Check out Chili. Check out Perfect. You want plastic surgery? I tell you exactly what I'm doing and I mean, we talk about it. We pretty much spill our heart out on our music and everything hasn't been perfect in our career. There are things that I'm sure Aunt Wow, I'll just speak for myself, that we could change or whatever. But I really think Anthony, guys, he hit it on the line. I feel like her team is has failed her.
Yeah,
When you pay
I
a
feel
team
bad
to
for her for
look
that.
out for you, I feel like whoever told her to stand on business with that, I think that was a disservice to her because of her looks. If she had came out and said, "Guys, I misstepped," oh my gosh, she would have had us
Come
all in
on.
the palms of her
Come
hand.
on, dog. Come
You'd
on.
be like,
Are
"Oh,
you kidding me?
it's
That could
okay."
have worked to her
It
advantage. Because
exactly.
now, with all this pretty, now you're flawed. Now look at all these people that can relate to that part of the messy, right?
Yeah,
There's good portions in constructive messy, you know. So now you don't even have to have this perfect image, right? You don't even have to have this perfect image, you can be messy, which is the beauty of things like Perfect Image. You hear the song, but when you listen to it, you're like, oh my God, they're absolutely doing the exact opposite and talking about things that they've done to fit in, but it's the opposite.
it's the opposite.
There's a lot of jewel in that. And that's that to me, I feel bad for her on that because I feel like she was advised wrong. At the end of the day, go sincere, right? And then
Yeah.
if you receive feedback or flack from being sincere, you don't really, you know,
You can stand on
they can
that.
just,
I can live
they,
with that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I can live with that,
yeah.
and Tasha K said she broke it first, but really in Perfect Image, we talked about it. We talked about if she's biracial, they will worship thee. That is the line. If she's biracial, they will worship thee.
From a pretty light skinned girl.
Case closed. Moving on. Let's talk about Drake and Chris Brown album. I'm gonna be very honest. I love you, Chris. I love you. But the first two songs, I was like, next. I love you, Chris. And I ain't listen to nothing else. Not because I don't want to listen to anything else, Chris, because I do respect art. But I have to say the first two songs that I listened to, one, the damn the intro went on into the verse. I didn't know when the song was actually going to start. And so that kind of lost me on that just because I'm so busy with time. And then the second song that I listened to, it wasn't my normal Chris Brown sound, but that's okay because we all are evolving. I've had songs people don't gel with, but when we're evolving, matter of fact, I heard a girl talk about this today. She said, I like the old Beyonce. I don't like the Renaissance. I don't like the cowboy Beyonce. I get it. So I want to tell you congratulations on your art, dropping your album. I know you got a little heated with people not feeling it. It's very, very normal for that to happen. Just congratulations on the new album. Congratulations on the tour with Usher as well. Yeah, with Usher. Aunt Weezy, did you get a chance to check it out?
I have not. I have heard all the reviews. I haven't. It's funny. I haven't even had a chance to talk to Neva
Skip,
about the.
skip, skip to the loo, skip.
Yeah, that
Yep.
has been the consensus. I'm talking about from Chris Breezy people. Like that's been a consistent consensus. Because people love Chris Breezy. So
Yes,
for him to
we
get
do.
a people
Do.
love Chris Breezy. So for him to get a not so favorable
Yeah.
review, that just says a lot. I haven't had a chance to listen to it. I'm going to listen to it because I'm gonna give I got to give everybody a shot unless
Yeah.
you just make me not have to. Like there's certain artists I won't name where I'm like I can't do it. But I got to give you a shot because you haven't done anything outwardly for me to not give you a shot. And I like Chris Breezy, right? So I'm not it's not even, I'm not like the females like, "Oh my god, Chris Breezy." But Chris Breezy's always, Chris Breezy's been around 20 years and he's been relevant in every era of the 20 years that he's been out. So I'm going to listen to it, and you know why I'm going to listen to it? Because I'm interested. This is what I'm going to take from it when I listen to it. There's certain times when an artist does things and they branch out and it doesn't hit. And maybe it doesn't hit because it's us.
Mhm.
Or maybe it doesn't hit because maybe it was far removed and it being so far removed from who that artist is, maybe it was ahead of its time. And then
Mm,
you listen to it 4 or 5 years later and it's like,
mhm,
ugh. I like to think that I have that sense because I
mm,
listen to music that way for to listen to it from a standpoint where I'm like, okay, this just ain't hitting now, but
right.
later on it might hit. I have been guilty of that with a couple. I'm going
Mhm.
to name an artist and I don't want to. I don't want to, but I'm going to name them anyway. 808s and Heartbreaks, I was like that in the beginning, right? Took me a while. I listened to it once. It's a ha 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 because it wasn't graduation. It wasn't late, college dropout. It wasn't late registration. I wasn't ha ha ha. Listen back to it. I'm like, holy snap, this thing is crazy.
Right.
Yeezus was the same way. Didn't really give Yeezus a fair shot to my defense. I didn't sit and listen to it 1 to 12. Didn't really give it a fair shot. My boy, who was my neighbor at the time, shout out to Chris Vancino, who was an enormous fan. He was like, dude, you got to give it a, okay. Where do I listen to most of my music? When I'm working out.
Mhm.
That's when I listen to it. I listened to it. And ever since then, I'm like, holy crap. So I want to listen to it to see if, was it a complete miss or is it something that maybe when they listen to it later, because I think as successful as Mr. Morale and Big Steppers was, a lot of people had criticism for it. And I think as time goes on, they're going to re listen to that and be like, damn, this was really, really good. And it was successful at the time. Right.
Mhm.
So it does have that potential. The difference is Mr. Morale and Big Steppers got really great reviews and all the kinds of things. And universally people are panning this. So it could just be a big miss. You got the tour coming up. If you have a tour coming up, you want to release the music to support the tour, but you gotta make sure it is good.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to listen to it, Breezy, so I can't lend to
Dang.
that, but universally it has been panned.
Looks like Pitchfork gave his album a 1.3 rating. That's on Complex News. This was done by Mark Elbert, and Tank did come out to defend Chris Brown. Yeah, they gave him a brutal 1.3 out of 10. Um the label and labeled the project a real piece of shit, and they
Yeah, I saw
actually
that.
posted that on X. Wow. And it was so funny because people Tank started going off and people were like, "Who's Tank?" People are so rude. Well, we know who Tank is. I've had the opportunity to serve Tank. He is nothing but respectful on the planes and love every time I get a chance to actually see him. And that's why I would never put Chris down. Art is art. And I just want to give him kudos for actually dropping it. But, social media, man, people can be very, very vicious. Very, very vicious. Very, very
Yeah,
vicious.
I'm gonna listen to it, Breezy. It,
Yeah,
I got to give it a fair shot, so I'm gonna listen to it.
absolutely. So another person that dropped some hitters, that people are saying or not is actually Drake. And so Drake album, there's the Kendrick Lamar comparisons that are still lingering out there. He made comments about Joe Budden. LeBron, and wow, surprised you talk about that in sport. LeBron's public support. And he talked about the record label executive reactions and the industry pressure. And a lot of people seem like they're loving it from my side of the table, I've heard. But for me, I'm just like, can let the Kendrick thing go. Like, let's just Drake is so talented, Anthony. He is so talented in singing and writing and rapping. And I think I don't know, for me, I just want to hear him spit. I really just want to see him spit because what's happening right now is people are basically saying you're just a sore loser. Like, take the L and let it go. And instead of him maybe thinking like, oh, I'm gonna do this album and I'm gonna show and prove, it seems to be doing the opposite. People are saying, "Man, you are really." So now, what people are going to start doing? They're going to start posting Kendrick's music again. Dun 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 dun. People are going to start doing. They're going to start putting that song back up there, and I guarantee you, it's going to start streaming. Not because they want to, but it's like, we're gonna show you and continue to show you, and, don't get me wrong, his album's doing well, but, like, Kendrick won that match. We still love Drake. He's one of the most talented artists out there, but Kendrick won that match, and it doesn't matter what you say, period. From the
Yeah,
mass of people.
yeah, I haven't had a chance to listen to Maid of Order or her beat, whatever the other one is.
I
I've
liked them.
heard,
They were good.
huh?
Yeah, they were good. They were real good.
Um, so it's interesting, right? It's interesting. The reviews on it are interesting. I listened to it.
Did you see that video too with the artificial woman? I don't
No,
know if
I
them.
haven't seen any videos.
Okay, okay, yeah.
I listened to it, and to me, it sounded just like what you said. It sounded, I mean, listen, he is on there doing bar work. I will say this. He is on there, especially on Iceman. Now, from what I understand, Maid of Honor is more of the dancey, and then Habiti's more of the R&B thing. And so he left kind of the hits on those, and this one he just wanted to rap and do the things. And he's definitely doing that for sure. And anybody who knows Drake, the only feedback I've had for Drake all these years is you are so good. I think you cheapened yourself in a lot of ways by doing cheap music, in my opinion. Having to be so catchy and just, as opposed to just going to the lab or whatever. Now, he did go to the lab on this one. I will say that. The issue is, and I had stated this, I said, I don't know if I'm really qualified to give a review because for me, it sounded like everything you just said. It sounded like, look, it's 2 years, you got an L. I mean, a whole run, there was a whole run that we've never seen before that was created as a result of that. But
Mhm,
here's the issue. The issue is when GNX dropped, first of all, it was a surprise because that's what all people are gonna automatically do. They're gonna compare Drake's numbers to Kendrick's. Well, Drake's are gonna win. First of all, he's had this rollout for 2 or 3 months. Second of all, when it comes to streaming, Drake has always been, he's never lost that crown. That's
mhm,
not even Kendrick's battle. Kendrick
mhm.
doesn't even battle in that space. He's
Right.
gonna be he's already set records of his own. He's already gonna do all that in the space that he occupies. He doesn't occupy the same space you do. You guys are both titans in this thing, so you guys argue. So you guys are forever going to be tied at the hip. It's always going to be Tupac Biggie between you guys, especially after this battle. It was
Mhm.
always kind of that way, even before the battle, and there was just these little sneak things going on. And now the battle, you're forever solidified, right?
Right.
Kendrick has actually gained a whole audience from you from the battle, right? You
Mhm.
already had the audience, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So and not that Kendrick wasn't, he was always 1A, whatever. But Drake was, listen, let's keep it real. The last 10, 15 years, like, there's been no bigger star, lightweight in all of music except for Taylor Swift and Beyonce than Drake, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, it sounds like when I listened to it, I was on a run the first time I listened to it, and I didn't listen to the whole thing. I listened to like 40 minutes of it because that's how long my run was.
Mhm.
And Neva's son, who is he's a Drake stan, like an enormous. The first thing he said was, man, this album sucks so far. You know what I mean? And I was like, really? And he was just like, it's just not, it's kind of like, and I heard this from a couple other Drake people. These are Drake people I've heard this from, where it was like, because he named this, he said we got to a song and he was like, okay, I like this one. I was like, okay, what about that one? He was like, he doesn't sound as petty. And I was like, that's the word I was looking for.
Mhm.
I didn't
Mhm.
want to lead with that because I didn't want to seem like a hater. But
Mhm.
that's the word. And I told him, I said, that's the word I'm looking for. It seemed petty. It's like, yo, like it's 2 years later. And I don't know what I was expecting, right? I don't know what I was expecting.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
think part of me was expecting him to just, like you said, man, just go to the lab and put out some good music
Yeah.
because what will always, because to me, now this is to me what it seems like, and I'm only basing it off the work that you have done. So, if you ever hear this, Drake, and you want to come at me, because by the time you hear this, I'm going to be in the streams, you're going to know about me. If you ever want to come at me, I'm only just commentating on what I've delivered from the album. Music is really good, but Drake's music is always good. The
Mhm.
rapping itself is good because Drake's rapping is always good. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, we can't, you may not think Beyonce is the greatest singer in the world, but you can never say Beyonce can't sing, right? Regardless of what you feel about Drake, for or against, whatever, you may be like, oh man, there's so many people that can out rap him. I'm not gonna even talk about Kendrick. I'm just talking about anybody. But to
Right.
say the brother can't rap would just, now we just can't, I can't even entertain the conversation anymore. Right?
Right.
So he can do that very
Mhm.
well, top tier level, historically well.
Right. Right.
It it appeared to me that you were trying to fight the narrative that you lost and it didn't mean anything, but it's coming across that you feel like you lost.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
like your whole messaging is, oh man, all that stuff wasn't nothing, man. I'm here, F all of them, and I'm shooting shots at everybody, and like everything didn't matter. But it's coming across like you lost. You even said a couple of lines. He said a line like, I feel like I'm looking at like when I look at Meek Mill, I feel like I'm looking at in the mirror because when him and Meek Mill had their battle, Meek
Mm.
Mill consensually lost.
Mhm.
So he
Mhm.
stated that line. This is the line you stated, my brother, right?
Right.
This ain't me. I'm just going based off of what you gave.
Right.
And so
Right.
as a result, it was I can understand why, again, I didn't use the word, but I understand. Oh, that's what it is. It's like you said, it's like 2 years later. That's been an overwhelming because Pitchfork didn't give him a great one either. They gave him a 3.8 as well, right?
Mhm.
Pitchfork didn't give him a great one either. There's a lot of people now. All the reviews aren't in because the first week aren't in. We're only 4 or 5 days and 4 days into it or whatnot. But a
Right.
lot of the reviews haven't been. There's another guy who gave it 2 out of 10. A lot of the reviews have been, first of all, the length, and I don't even know if it's so much the length as opposed to it's the length, and all the whole time the link is about woe was me shooting shots at everybody.
Yeah.
You sound it's in that bitter space. Whereas flip side, if if Kendrick in his camp, regardless of the numbers that you do, Kendrick can possibly feel like we had the battle, I did my thing, I won that, and then I surprise dropped an album that went number one, had local features on there. Everybody's from not even local LA features that everybody knows. He introduced a lot of people that
Mhm.
never had the platform before. So now you're solidifying that love, right? So you didn't go get a bunch of features. And I didn't mention you once in this album after this heavy beef we had. So
Yeah.
now it shows, look at all this other content I can give the world that I've been giving the world that doesn't have to be based around that. That
Yeah.
was that. Not Like Us wasn't on the album, right? What Did I Miss was kind of his response months ago, kind of letting people know what did I miss, kind of the same thing. You included that on the album. Kendrick didn't include Not Like Us. He gave us a brand new album with not mentioning you at all. There may have been one or two lines that you can maybe say, but even still, they were still so vague. He didn't mention you at all. There was a lot of the conversation thing he did. In fact, what he said was, let me enter this space and do it like this, my way, to let
Right.
you know I can do this. Let me make some bops. Let me get it cracking in the club one time, right? And so that's the criticism or feedback. I don't even know if I want to use criticism, feedback that I had. But again, I'm just taking feedback that I've gotten from Drake fans and kind of incorporating that because that's how it felt to me. But I didn't automatically want to lead to that when I was having these conversations because I didn't want to seem like a hater. These are things that I've gotten, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't tripping when I was receiving this. This is how it seemed to me. So, a lot of the reviews have been mixed so far, as far from a critical standpoint. People are going to bump it because they want to know how he responds. And a lot of people like that. And listen, let's keep it 100. And I tell people this all the time, regardless of what happened with Drake, Drake has solidified himself with his fan base to the point where they ain't never gonna leave. I don't know if you could ever bury Drake like that. It was more important for Kendrick to win from that standpoint because of a lot of the aesthetics we were talking about earlier, right?
Mhm.
Drake,
Mhm.
this stuff matters. He's very talented. He can sing. He's light skinned. He appeals to all these people. Kendrick is the dark horse in all of this, right? That would have been possible had it went the other day that maybe Kendrick couldn't re-enter the lane. Drake's always going to be able to re-enter the lane, right?
Mhm.
So, and a lot of the people, quite frankly, these massive people are the same fans, right? Whether
Mhm.
you like it or not.
Yeah.
You have the same fans. It's always been that way. Kendrick's occupied this side of the table. You've occupied this side of the table. The side of the table you occupied has been bigger because it's more commercial. It appeals to more pop people and all that kind of stuff. But Kendrick's always had, it's funny. Drake said a line like, oh, your fans are only the fans, the white fans and all these kinds of things. Well, I don't know what fans do you have?
Mhm.
You guys have the same fans. Everybody who went to GNX, when Drake goes on tour, they're going to go to that tour as well.
Mhm.
You have the same fans. You guys, that's what happens when you're in that iconic status. Taylor Swift and Beyonce have a lot of overlapping fans because that's the space you occupy. So, that was just kind of I haven't had a chance to listen to the other two, but overall, that was kind of my synopsis. I was going to do an individual, but I think I talked so long. I think I'm just going to clip this and use this as my individual Iceman review. Uh, Music's good. He can rap his tail off. It was
All right.
just a
Yeah.
lot of that. Mhm.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So we got to get into this a little bit. If you guys don't know, Nicki Minaj, she finally gets a chance to explain why she went mess. Some of y'all call it MAGA. Some of us say she went mess. And so she basically said this wasn't an overnight decision. And she explained in this interview that she's always had conservative views for years, but she stayed quiet because she was fearful that she would get backlash from the music industry and from fans. And I could totally see that. She also felt like she felt silent after the backlash from her COVID vaccine comments that she had made years ago. She also claims that the party ignored her concerns during her personal incidents, like her house getting swatting. And then she feels like the R figures reached out to help her when others didn't. She says she feels like it's less about the P word and more about feeling heard and respected. And that's why she went to the other side. But people were outraged, they're angry. They were like, you used to be woman empowerment, you used to be LGBTQ support, you used to be supporting other cultures, and you used to speak against discrimination. So we don't understand how you can automatically feel. It seems very contradictive of what she actually stood for. Now there are some fans that do support her and understand that she has her independent opinions, and we do have to support people with that. But even now, and if you think about now, look at what's happening in the news. Big P is trying to use tax money to give to people that attack the Capitol on January the 6th. So I think that's where some of the people are just like, we don't get it. We don't really understand it. And we have to ask you guys, do you feel that she's being unfairly attacked or not? I think everyone has a right to have their P views, but when you're having to put $82 in gas and people are making comments like, I'm not worried about the financial concerns of people and Americans, well, you should be, right? You should be. When I go to the store and I'm spending $60 on one meal for the night, let alone spending $300 in a week. We have to be concerned about these issues. And I know that he says it's only going to last for a period of time, but it's lasting a lot longer. And people are feeling it and people are being impacted by it. And so that is really, we love Nicki for who she is as an artist, but I guess that's where people are struggling and having a hard time to see how can you support people who we see this person has been a part of hurting so many people. And also just I understand some people were hurt. I think it was in San Diego. There was a pow pow that took place there. For the people that had lost their lives, injured, I think it was 5 people. Just rest in peace. That just came to me, and I wanted to put that out there. And Weezy, what do you have to say about Nikki going mess? Because yeah.
Nikki, and assuming her and her husband are still on good terms, is trying to. This is my spin on it. It appears that it's very self-driven. She's not uh, fully a citizen of the country yet. Her brother is serving 25 years for essay related allegations with minors.
Mm-hmm.
Husband obviously has been convicted for those same similar charges with minors. And it can appear that you're appealing to someone who's on a list with people who was in trouble for doing inappropriate things to minors. So this is a very convenient way because of, speaking of the January 6th insurrectionists, because he did pardon them and now he wants to get them money, although I can't tell you what percentage of them are back in prison or back in trouble because this is who they were.
Mm-hmm.
So you throw that in with the woman's rights, you throw that in with all of the rights that they're doing to get rid of everything that has to do with people like us being represented. And you're not even from here. So if me and Lisa aren't going to be represented, how do you think you're going to be represented? And then for people who have such a problem with our culture, this is the person you want to endorse simply because she is out for a personal gain. All of a sudden, Nikki's the person you want to endorse your party. You don't even have enough class to be like, we appreciate your support, but you don't really align with our views. So now let's throw all this Bible thumping stuff that you guys do and all this stuff that you do to try and manipulate people's mind frames and mindsets and perspectives and opinions. Where is the consistency at? Because I could have swore not even a year ago, Marjorie Taylor Greene was the biggest asset you had. Now all of a sudden, she's a low IQ person. Well, we've talked about this on the show. Be careful if you're with somebody, Lisa Renee, and you going out here and you're going out of your way to demean this person and talk about how terrible they were and all this stuff and how much of a bum he was and all that kind of stuff. You don't think that reflects on you because you was with him? At
Right.
the end of the day, that reflects on you. You were with him. In fact, if I was with somebody and I had a whole lot of bad to say, I would probably kind of keep my mouth shut. Now, I may use our situations as learning lessons, shop talk to help improve perspective, to show
Right.
you the lesson in it. But I'm not about to be out here. I was with the person.
Right.
So now all of a sudden, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you can't, now all of a sudden she's low IQ. Tucker Carlson, of all people, apologized for supporting him. Now all of a sudden like, come on. And this is the person, like, if you really want change, you try and be getting with people who are putting out positive messages. But the positive messages people are the bad people. Jasmine Crockett's a bad person. Isaiah Martin's a bad person. Charlemagne the God, he's a bad person. These people are trying to put out positive messages. They're trying to give us information, but all of a sudden they're a bad person. It's the same with Nicki. All of a sudden, this is the representative you want out of everybody in hip hop. This is supposed to make you look good. Getting Nicki Minaj to represent you. What? That's what I have to say about that.
Absolutely, guys. And we are going to get into one of Anthony's favorite subjects, row. I'm just going to tap into a little bit row, Real Housewives of Atlanta, if you guys don't know that. So there is a clip going around where K Michelle is crying. And I think it's so funny because Portia's like, who did what? And y'all know there's a clip years ago when Portia's like, who did what? And I was like, Portia, I think it was you, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
But the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Portia's dating her female right now. They're trying to accuse her of things from the past. K Michelle, they're bringing up. It's so unfortunate. Somebody she dated and kind of put something out there about her having an odor. And I can understand her being very sensitive to that, but she was crying because she feels like these girls are plotting on her. She's coming back to this reality show, but she was on another reality. She was Love and Hip Hop. Now she's on the Housewives of Atlanta. And I have to be honest, a lot of people don't feel she fits. I heard Jess Hilarious talking about that on the Breakfast Club. She feels like K Michelle is kind of like here. But I remember Portia on Sherry's show was like, I think everybody's a boss on the show. Everybody's got something going on. And she really loved the cast. But there's going to be emotional moments going on there. It's high tension between people going at it, and that's the fun of Real Housewives of Atlanta. But what I wanted to talk about, our former Real Housewives of Atlanta, Candy Burris was doing an interview, and she got asked about how she's kind of balancing, everything, got her divorce happening and life and all of these things. And she really got emotional. And, everybody, I think most people that I heard talk about it, we just really felt bad for her at that moment because going through divorce is bad enough, but any breakup is bad. It hurts. If we're going to be honest, it hurts when you break up with someone. And it's not that you want to cry in public, but sometimes it hurts that bad when you work so hard to have something and keep something together, and you still have to co parent with this person. That's where it's difficult because she still has to see him, trying to do the right thing for the children. But at the end of the day, going home to your separate homes, that's got to be extremely difficult. And so my prayers go out to Candy and Todd. I know it's not easy. even with the co-parent and things like that. But we see you winning. Happy birthday to you, Candy. Happy birthday to the beautiful Janet Jackson too as well. At 60, but looking like she's 30 years younger than that. Girl, hang in there. And then also a shout out to Kenya Moore, who we would love to see back on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Kim Zolciak, another one we would love to see back on, especially with her and Croy having all these issues going on. And Tamar Braxton, that's really who y'all need to put on that show with just, because y'all know Tamar, she know how to do reality TV. But I'm really happy they are reportedly going to be a part of a show called Reality Retreat. It's supposed to be on Amazon Prime Video, and it's described as a mix of wellness retreat, reality TV drama, and celebrity girls trip. It also has TV names like Margaret Joseph, Christine Quinn, Brittany Cartwright, and Jen Tran. And so there's going to be wellness rituals going on, emotional exercises, truth telling stories, accountability challenges, personal growth conversations, and of course, reality TV conflict and drama, honey. And when you put Kenya and Tamar, I mean, Kim can bring it too, but when you say Kenya and Tamar, let's just say I think a lot of us are going to be watching this, and it is expected to premiere in 2027. So keep a lookout for that. And while I'm sure you don't, y'all, this bug has been freaking trying to bother me all night. Do you have anything for anybody? I know how much you love reality shows.
I love it so much. I don't have anything to say.
How about that hot? All
Hot.
right, guys, we are going to get into our Be Inspired segment because we want you to be inspired as you go into the weekend. And so, this quote, Aunt Wow and I tried to think of mental health because it is Mental Health Wellness Month. We wanted to think about a quote, so we came up together with this quote. So, it's protecting your mental health is not selfish. Rest, peace, and healing are necessary, not optional. The strongest thing you can do is choose yourself when life gets heavy. But let me break it down for you. Protecting your mental health is not selfish. The strongest thing you can do is choose yourself when life gets heavy. Aunt Wheezy, did you want to take that or me in this bug?
Yeah, you can go first.
All right, guys. So let me go ahead and break this down. So again, protecting your mental health is not selfish. The strongest thing you can do is choose yourself first, right? And so, man, I told somebody, so I was on Noom. Let me share a story with you. So, Delta, I love them. They give us Noom for free. And a lady made a comment and she says, how do you lose weight? When you, and matter of fact, guys, I'm going to read this to you. So, this is going to be real time. I'm not going to share that person because I do want to respect what she said. But I think the answer, if I can find it very quickly, I did introduce myself as being a life coach because what she said, it was just really deep. So she said, honest question, is it possible to lose weight in a dysfunctional marriage? And I said, yes, certified life coach here. So this is going to answer, put yourself first. It may sound easy, but it's not. Most of the time, we're so busy pouring into others that we forget about ourselves. Be a little selfish with your peace, your healing, and your well being. Your mind and body will thank you for it. And then I told her about some of the stress kits and meditations that Noom has. And I told her it's amazing during challenging times that this could really help her bring back her center on herself. Well, this is what she came back. She says, my spouse is doing the opposite in times of extreme stress. He shuts everything and everyone else out, and it's painful. And I wanted to go back to her and say, he's doing exactly what I'm telling you to do. You got to put yourself first. That's the strongest thing you can do is choose yourself. And that's what her husband's doing. And I didn't want to reply back because what I don't want to do is go back and forth. I want to respect this time. This is a very sensitive time for this woman. But if you guys listen to her husband's comment, he's focusing on himself. Is he not? And wow.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what you need to do, Aunt Weezy.
Goes back to a saying that I always say, you can't invite anybody in unless your house is in order.
Mm,
Protecting yourself is not optional. I just had this conversation yesterday, in fact, because there's been certain ways, when you're able to go with the flow and compartmentalize, a lot of the times you miss out on the opportunity to really kind of sit with yourself and focus on what your best interests really are with respect to how you want to feel and how you want to be perceived and how the the internal balance that you want to have within yourself, right? And so that's where the bulk of this quote comes from, because in order to approach life in a way that's healthy, you have to have balance internally, you have to be
mhm,
centered. And in order to do that, you got to try and get rid of as much noise as possible so that your feet can fully stand on the ground. If there's a lot of fuzzy targets, don't get hit. So if there's a lot of stuff in the way, your target and where you want to go, even if it's something as simple as I just want to be at peace, right? I don't want to carry all this stuff. I don't want to carry all these burdens. I don't want to carry all this worry, all this anxiety, right? You have to put yourself in a position to where you set yourself up to win. So being internal is often it's not often. It's always the best way. And I think a lot of people misunderstand how that's quote unquote perceived selfish behavior actually affects everybody else. You
mhm,
actually get better versions of this person when they do that, right? You actually get more rewarded from this person when they do that. Because a lot of the stuff that may get on their nerves about you is easier to forgive because they have a better perspective on it. They're not sitting on it. They're not harnessing it. It's not affecting them in ways to where they act out towards you.
yeah,
They are able to properly compartmentalize that situation or that energy in a way that's healthy for them.
mhm,
So those that don't want you to do that want you to be in a certain state of chaos because it's more beneficial to them,
yeah, yeah,
because they can manipulate you from that space now, right? Which is
absolutely,
even more reason why it's the best thing you could do is focus on, well, how do I truly feel? That means having certain conversations that may not be the easiest. That means having conversations with yourself that may not be the hardest conversations I ever have are with myself.
mhm,
Those are the hardest ones because in those conversations, I come to epiphanies that are going to lead me to have conversations with other people based on the hard conversations I've had with myself. Right?
mhm,
You are
mhm,
you are the biggest person you can let down, and or the biggest person that's going to hold you accountable is yourself, right? You make a promise to anybody else, you're going to live up to it. You're going to do everything you can. But when you're truly aligned, the promise you make to yourself, if you really think about it, that's the one that eats you up if you don't meet that bar, right?
absolutely,
That's the one that eats you up. Like, look, man, I'm doing this. I don't care. You don't have to announce it or anything. It's actually those promises that actually hold the most weight. That's a promise you've made to yourself. So that's
yeah,
why it's so important for you to be aligned. It's
absolutely,
important for you to be in touch with the things that are going to move and motivate you a certain way. That way you don't get easily distracted from the path that you're on. I know I'm speaking for everybody. I know I'm speaking for myself. Like that's why I always try and pay attention to the space I'm in. Because if I get distracted, then I'll get overwhelmed. And then what does that lead to? Stagnancy. And
mhm,
so 3 days later, you still have the same to-do list that you had 3 days before, but you've been so stuck in this rut that it's been hard for you to recognize the opportunity of optimism. And when you're optimistic, it makes you more motivated.
Yeah,
and you can miss out on those opportunities to lean into that motivation to be productive in a way that satisfies everything about you that you want to be fulfilled.
absolutely. Thank you, Aunt Weezy. So, we do want to leave you with some mental health resources. If you or someone you know is struggling, please know that you are not alone. Call or text 988. Again, the 988 in Crisis Lifeline provides free, confidential emotional support 24/7 in the United States, or visit 988 Lifeline. Mental health information and support, you can visit National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, NAMI. Your mental health matters. Healing is possible. We can do it together, guys. Don't forget to join us here every Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us what you thought on any of those topics. And most important, guys, God bless you. Be blessed. We will see you next week. Bye.